Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Nat Walsh. Today we have two cards. I made two. So sometimes I like these, my voice, sometimes I like these, well, I don't sometimes, I always like these Cocoa Vanilla paper pads. They're awesome, they're bright, they're colourful, they're just, I love them. I love them. So, I'm just having a quick look through all the papers here. I'm just picking out the cut apart so later on I can cut those out. These, the little ephemera packs. Here in Australia we call them die cuts. Now, today's weather, last couple of days, yesterday wasn't too bad, but last couple of days have been a bit cool, wet. Just, I'm missing summer already. So it is the 24th of March, and so obviously our summer has come to an end. We didn't really have much of a summer at all, honestly. It really, really sucked, but as in temperature-wise. But I'm just going through these die cuts, so they're quite little fun ones, little bikinis, little sunglasses, the watermelons, the sun. So there is another pack that I think had more flowers. But I really liked this little pack and I thought, there's lots of little hearts. There's lots and lots and lots. So I've got this A6 Australian die set. So it cuts out one of our cards, because here in Australia our cards, I think, are what we call A4 is the Americans' like letter card. So it's a little bit longer from my thought. So I've die cut that out of the second largest out of the die set, and then I think it's the fifth largest. I've die cut another piece just out of straight cardstock. I'm going to go through the cards, the little ephemera packs, and figure out what I want. So I'm liking this little tree and just figuring out a sentiment. When I originally sort of went through these die cuts, I was sort of thinking, oh, maybe I'll just go like the umbrella and, but to me, they're meant to be that way, but against the bike, it was just not the right sizing. So we're going to go for what here in Australia, we call them thongs. I know that's a completely different thing everywhere else, but we call your different thing in England, in America, something else as well. So these are, I think you call these flip-flops for my American friends. So, you can have a little giggle over that. But here in Australia, we call them thongs. Oh dear. Anyway, so I'm just going to mount up some of these. The two cards are pretty simple. Honestly, there is no stamping whatsoever. There's no ink in these at all. And I'm trying to use up all the outer bits for this sheet of foam. So we're going to stick a bit here and a bit there and just go with the flow. I have not put foam right down the very, very bottom because my intention is to cut a little bit of that off. And you'll see that very shortly. I'll put that down and I'll have it overhanging a little bit and we'll just trim him off. I don't mind about the top bits, but I'm sort of using a little bit of that panel as my ground. A little bit. Obviously, the thongs are not. I don't know. Some people are probably going to have a real issue with me calling them thongs. But that's what we do in Australia. That's what we call them. All right. The flip-flops are going to be based onto the cardstock. So I will change my language just for some people out there that may have a problem with me calling that. But I swear to you, that's what we call them. Anyway, I digress. So as you can see, adding more, all the foam dots, all the bits and pieces. The back wheel there, we're just going to glue that down because he's going to sit onto the tree. Voila. And therefore he doesn't need any more foam, because otherwise the back wheels will be up higher than the front and it's just going to look odd. Now these are smaller foam dots, but I'm just going to use the edging. Use it up. So my panel keeps sticking a little bit because I've got the foam still on the top of the trees. But so we're going to glue him. Okay. I got distracted. You do not need this foam much. You do not need this much foam. I know some people are going to be harassing me about it, i.e. my friends. But I was watching something else, and then before I realised what I'd done, I just plastered it with foam. So, we'll get over it, okay? You don't need that much foam. Anyhow, we're cutting off little tiny strips, which you can't see because it's sort of in my lap, so I could hold the roll and cut it off. But here we go. So I'm taking off the top a little bit so I can try to position it, holding it up a little bit, try to make sure it's straight, and then I'll press the top of it down and remove the bottom bits. It just makes it easy, because this stuff here in Australia, it's stuck. It's like well and truly done. Once again, part of it is going to be raised up, sitting on the raised up panel of the white. So I need a little bit of glue on one corner and then foam on the rest. The next thing I'm really going to do is add a couple of bits and pieces. So we're going to use some stickles just on the tree, a little bit on the flip-flops, and a tiny, tiny bit on the bike. It still needed a little bit more, so we're going to go in with a glaze pen and pretty much just do dots. Once I get it moving, it had a little gooby thing on the end of it. Once I get it moving, then I will just put some little bits of dots, and literally I'm pressing down. I'm not moving the pen whatsoever and letting the ink just flow out. Super simple. Just trying to figure out where else I'm going to put a dot, and I decide, no. So this card number 1. Card number 2. So we've got the second largest of the Australian A6 die, and I've cut it out of the floral cardstock, and then I've got these strips. So these, honestly, I just not freehand, but I just eyeballed it roughly 3 centimeters, because the guillotine, it was rough. It didn't have exactly a line on 3 centimeters, and then I cut it down to 14 centimeters. So it's roughly 3 centimeters by 14. All the panels are. What I'm going to do is, I decided that these need to be longer, so I'm going to fluff about with this. We're going to cheat. I am just going to cut these in half. Sorry, it's a bit hard to see there, but you cut it in half, you get the idea. I'm going to line those up on my grid mat. Add a little bit of glue. This is the fluffing about with it, because what I should have done is get out my Fiskars silicone mat, so it will hold the cardstock a little bit better. But you don't really think about these things sometimes. You have a bit of a deadline and you want to get this done, so you don't really think about it. So we're just making sure they're as straight as they can be, which is not really going to be too much of a big deal. I want it even top and bottom though. I want it to be straight top and bottom, but I'm not too worried about the middle bit. So I'm lining it all up on my grid mat and just trying to make sure it is straight. And I'm going to do that with the second one. So the wood grain piece is about 7 centimeters, 3 by 7 as well. And that's how it's going to look. So going through the little cut aparts, I go for this one, but it needs something else. So I'm going to get some scrap black cardstock and we're going to mat this up just to give it a little bit of a pop, a little bit of something. I thought about white, and white's not going to do, so I'm just grabbing some black here. And we're going to eyeball it. There's no real measurements or anything else. I'm just going to eyeball it. There was a little slither that needed to be trimmed off that I didn't cut it quite right from the other cut aparts. So we've tidied that up. So we're going to eyeball that down. And mat that all up. And I'm going to raise that a little bit on some foam. Not that bit, but the black. The black bit is going to be raised up on some foam. And I can't really remember whether I plastered that. But, you know, we'll get over it. My friend will get over it. You know who you are. Anywho. I'm going to glue that down flat. And then I'm going to go through some more of the ephemera, because once I've glued this fun in the sun, or foam, I knew it was foam, but you know what I mean. Once we attach that, we're going to pull out some of the ephemera pack and we're going to check out and see what I can add to it. Now, all the information for this video, including the sizing, there's not really too much I can tell you too much. I can tell you too much. I can't tell you too much. There is all the sizing and everything over on my blog, and there will be a couple of close-up photos because the photos at the end are just both the cards. So if you go over to the blog, you'll see the photos of the cards a bit better. This is also going to be another card for Leslie from Little Bits in Keysborough, so I will link her down below as well if you want any of these packs. But I just loved them. It was good fun. So I thought maybe this pink one might be but I know there's another darker. There it is. It's better. It stands out a little bit better from the pink stripe paper that we've got going on underneath our sentiment there. So it ends up being going really well because it's like the best fun in the sun. We had a really, really weird summer this year. It wasn't as bad as last year when we had all the fires and then stupid corona. But it wasn't that warm. I honestly, for recreation, I didn't go to the beach one day, which really is the pits. So I have this crystal katana. It's awesome. I have two actually. I have two different ones. So I think the boss is getting some of those in very soon. So he's just got a bit of a roll happening on my bench because one of my, right at the very side of my mat, it has a little bit of a bow. So yeah, he was on a bit of a roll. So yet again, with my little heart down the bottom there, we're going to glue part of him down and raise him up the rest of it. But all the rest are flat against the cardstock. A little bit of stickles on all my hearts, a little bit of stickles here and there on the flowers, and that is it. So if you haven't subscribed already, that would be awesome. And if you hit the little bell icon, I help you to get notified of whenever I upload another video. So that's it. That's my card. I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.